busted because it got
Talon turbo.
Yeah. There's an HRE wheel face. Let's see. That's a Lancer Evo 3 carbon wing.
Evo 8.
Evo 8. 03 Evo 8 or something.
Yeah, 03 Evo 8.
Because it was
Clear coat.
under. Yeah, it has the tiniest amount of clear coat pill, and like it was done under warranty. It's like a $1,200 spoiler, and it's cool because it's all carbon.
What do we do with it? No idea.
I was using it for a shelf on a thing for a while.
Brembro.
Oh yeah, the
Also,
Brembos are
warranty
from.
peeling off of them.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. See them?
Yeah.
That's not from brake fluid.
Yeah,
It's
well,
from heat.
Brake fluid shouldn't. Well, if it's, I was surprised actually because brake fluid does with powder coat. It's got a porous consistency.
Well, those aren't powder coated, those are painted.
Yeah, whatever they are, painted from factory.
Okay.
People do refurbish them, clear coat them. But those are Evo 10 rears.
Oh, are they? Those
Yeah.
aren't.
I think the part numbers were different. I don't know why they're different.
Huh.
There's something slightly different about them.
Well, they're bigger than the Evo 8 rears.
Maybe slightly.
They look like Evo 8 fronts almost.
Well, other than
One
being
piston?
single piston,
Solid
they're
single
they're
piston,
dual piston, but they're
size wise.
yeah.
They're doing
Maybe they're slightly. They might have been slightly bigger. The rotors might have been slightly bigger. I forget. There's like a Cusco STI brace.
I don't know much about Mitsubishis. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're trying to not be an all Mitsubishi podcast. It's cool.
No, that's fine.
That's why we have non-Mitsubishi fun all the time.
We also dip into a Zuzu.
Yeah.
So if you want headphones, you can hear yourself. You don't have to.
Right now?
Yep. And you kind of talk just like right about here.
Right to the center of it.
Yeah, it picks it up. It doesn't really pick up much
If
over
you want
here.
to adjust it so it's right in front
Yeah,
of
you
your
can
face,
go
you can do that.
forward or back.
Hello.
There you go.
Welcome to.
You're in.
There you go.
That was a pretty good NPR voice.
That was. So we are recording. I had that going.
Oh, excellent. So you had to cut a little bit of that off. We were just wandering around the room.
That's right. Yeah, we're just talking about the Auto Off Topic studio.
Yes, because we have a guest tonight.
That's right.
So before we introduce the guest, what episode are we at?
73.
Did we talk about that already? Because you were talking about... Oh, never mind.
Nope.
Good. We weren't recording it then.
Nope.
You snuck a record in.
I did. So that's. I am Andrew,
I am Brad.
and we have our guest Jim Fagerquist tonight.
Close.
Is that
Fagerquist. Fagerquist. but
Fagerquist.
Yes.
All right.
You just call me
Jim.
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 That's fine. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Fagerquist. We will not be calling you that this evening.
No, wait. The music gets put in afterwards?
Yes.
Okay.
Music is put in post.
Waiting for that to know that when.
Nope.
No, there's no live band in the Auto Hot Topic podcast. Today.
Not yet.
Although we have discussed having them in and doing that song, but that'd be a
That's
lot of
right.
work. We'd probably actually go to them with our equipment.
It's probably easier that way, and then talk to our friend Jay, who's in the band, who knows all about audio and probably really good at hooking it up. And
Also knows nothing about cars.
no, but the lead singer does.
Yes.
So
Which is why the name of the band is Z28.
Yes.
Again, if you like our intro and exit music.
Yeah.
Just intro or exit 2, I forget.
Yes.
Okay, our intro and exit music. The band
It's the same
is
song. I split it.
Z28, just like the car. And you can find their music on Bandcamp.
Yes, and that track is Z28.
Yes, title track.
Yep.
But definitely look them up. They have some cool stuff.
So it's the
Actually, they're playing Saturday if you want to go.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They're playing
Playing at Koto.
Koto in Salem,
Downtown
Mass.
Salem, Massachusetts. So if you're local and you like the band, definitely go check them out down there this Saturday. Which, what is today? The 7th? So
Today's the 7th.
10th. So
It'll be the
February 10th at 9 o'clock.
Yep. But it snowed today.
It did.
Super fun.
I bet nobody that listens is surprised because they're always complaining about the weather.
Out of winter yet. Yeah, that's every episode. Are we out of winter yet? No.
Negative.
What did the
Although
Groundhog Day?
There is talk of escaping the winter for a weekend.
Potentially.
Potentially.
We'll see.
Well, I definitely am.
Yeah.
In March. Or is it March?
It's March.
Yeah. Anyway, there'll be more Auto Off Topic race coverage in March.
All right.
Teaser moment.
So, Jim, we were supposed to have you on last week.
That is
I guess we'll just get right into that.
Yeah.
Because that's a pretty fun story.
It's a pretty New England story, actually.
It's a very Auto Off Topic type story.
It's a very New England auto. It involves salt, old cars,
Jeeps,
and rust.
and rust.
Yes.
Yes. And aluminum and eBay parts and... Oh, sorry. Yes.
But when you bounce around like this, the sound goes a little
Yeah.
over the place. So you got to kind of...
Sorry.
That's all right. Nobody's a radio pro here.
By the way, I like how you guys maintain eye contact with each other while you're talking.
Don't give out the secret.
I won't.
If you notice that when I'm talking to you, I maintain eye contact with you.
Yeah, you
that's
have to
creepy.
shift eyes.
It's a little bit of a visual cue, so we don't talk over each other as much as we used to.
Gotcha.
Because we have had comments about talking over one another. So we do try not to talk over one another. We fail miserably.
It's harder when you have people remote on the phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can't see them. But for the most part, when we can do in-studio guests, it's easier.
So, yes, I was supposed to come in last week and got a small surprise when my Jeep 2002 Wrangler had a massive hole in the radiator caused by New England salt weather, and also the rusty frame that I think bent enough to stop the fan from actually turning and caused the car to overheat severely. So
But then my favorite part of the story is the frame was so bent so you couldn't.
open the hood
Yes.
of the Jeep. I think what was keeping the Jeep together was actually the hood latches, which are rubber.
Yes.
Which were out of alignment by about maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch. So they're overstretched right now. However, after welding, 2 days of welding, I have fixed the Jeep frame so that I can at least open it and put more antifreeze in every...
As you need it.
Yeah. Well, every day. So
So we should probably get a radiator.
we are. We have
okay.
a radiator on order, and we're going to
Okay,
be doing a stock replacement as opposed to the shiny aluminum one, which I bought, which didn't take the New England salt very well.
Oh, is that what was in it? It was an aluminum one.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
so it corroded and...
Right. Because when I was fixing the Jeep in the first place, I took all the body mount bolts out, and I jacked up half the car so that I could pour 15 it and finish it off. And when I did that, I didn't realize that the radiator is on the body, the engine is on the frame. When you jack up half the car and you run it, the fan stops.
Correct.
It overheats.
Yes.
So I'm under it. I hear the check gauges
Ding.
ding.
Yep.
And luckily, I was like, what is that noise? And I go to the dash, and I see it, and I was like, check gauges, what's happening? And then I put my head out, and boom, the original radiator blew out. So
So this is the one that is bad now is a replacement radiator. already.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it is a 2002. It's been around
it has
a few years
210,000.
Is it the straight six?
It is a straight 6, 4.0,
and a 5-speed.
and a 5-speed. That's
Of course.
the only way.
That's a requirement.
So
To
other
be,
than
to,
the
be an
frame,
auto off-topic guest, if you have a Jeep, it must be a 5-speed.
you have to know how to drive stick.
Oh, that goes without saying, but we do own some automatic vehicles.
Yeah, both my Monteros are automatics.
And my pickup truck's automatic. It's okay.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
It's good for towing.
It's very hard to find a diesel manual transmission.
They only made those for so many years.
I don't think you could have got a loaded one. I think it's a very stripped out option package.
And then I think they stopped it after like 08 or something.
I have no idea, but I could either have a truck that was comfortable with carpet and have it automatic.
I think you can still get a Dodge with a manual.
Possibly, I don't know.
Yeah.
But regardless, I couldn't get what I wanted with a manual, so
Gotcha.
my pickup truck isn't automatic.
As long as you have one manual in your
Yeah, I got
collection,
That.
which
I
I
got
know
that.
your collection has.
I got that covered.
You have several.
Yeah, several manuals. Several automatics too, unfortunately, but it's a good combination. Ollie is begging for attention already.
Ollie
Did you already
is,
finish
yes.
the peanut butter thing?
Yeah,
That's not
got
good.
through it.
That's not good.
I didn't have it frozen for very long, so he went right through it. That's all right.
Oh, we're going to hear Ollie a few times tonight. I think he's been a little restless, but that's all right. So New England weather ruined your car. So anybody who's listening to this that doesn't live in New England, the stories are real. That is a real life experience. He is a 1 week late podcast guest because of New England weather.
Yes.
Salt sucks.
Salt ruining his car. Yeah, it does suck.
Ruins everything.
Yeah, ruins life.
Can we say suck?
Yeah.
You can say anything. You can say fuck if you want. It's okay as long as you don't overuse it.
Okay.
It's funny because you say it's a 2002 Jeep. That doesn't seem that old. But
In
it's 16
reality,
years
it's 16
old.
years
It
old.
is, it
yeah.
is.
It's so old.
It's an old car.
But then when I think of that, I think of, well, it's newer than my other car, which is the 91 Miata. So.
This is true, but you don't drive that in the wintertime.
No, I did for 5 years.
Oh,
Not
did
that
you?
particular one.
The previous car?
The red one, which was an automatic, but we won't go there. That's a big sin.
So the only car that's worse than an automatic than a Jeep might be a Miata.
Yes, it is. It's horrible.
I won't question it. I didn't know you when you owned that car.
Good. I did actually donate it to a 16-year-old who was looking to buy a Miata, and I gave it to him, and he's fixing it up now.
Okay, good.
So
Is he putting a manual in it?
don't know. He may.
All right, good.
He's probably V8 swapping it.
That would
and
be nice.
Stancing it.
Whatever.
Dancing it.
Going drifting.
That's what 16-year-olds do. I mean, I don't hate a Lord Miata. It is what it is.
No, it's fine.
It's not my car. I don't care.
Not in New England. Too many oil pans.
That's any car in New
Destroyed.
England. That's stock height cars in New England. Whatever. Anyway, so what do we got to go on to? What do we have, Andrew, for housekeeping here before we get into our guest topics for the evening?
I was saving it for another episode. We can just get right into talking to our guests.
Am I on the wrong?
So we don't waste time.
Oh, well, I am actually on the wrong note page.
That's right.
So I just realized all the notes I was reading were from last week. We already talked about that stuff.
Yeah. I guess we'll start with the easiest question is, how did you get into cars? And where did it all start?
That's for you.
Yeah.
They already
Right
know how you
now,
got it.
if I say I got into cars, let's see. Oh, sorry. I'm not used to this microphone.
No, that's okay.
My first cars was Volkswagens. So we happened to be driving along and saw 2 Volkswagen Scirocco's for sale. And I love the shape.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about them or that they would look like a Audi Quattro, I think. But just,
similar lines.
yeah, and even the, was it Isuzu Eclipse, wasn't
Nope,
it?
Mitsubishi's Eclipse. Isuzu Impulse.
Impulse, yes. So that was funny. I actually looked at an Impulse and was going to buy it. And by the time I got home, after 100 miles drive, apparently it was sold by the time I got home to call and get
Say
it.
you wanted it, yeah.
Yeah. So the Scirocco, which was a 79 with a busted up front end.
That 79 is a rare car now.
Yes. And an 80 Scirocco S in orange. And I want to say it was probably like $400 for both of them. And
If you don't want to date yourself, you don't have to. But what year would this have been about for $400 for a pair of Scirocco's?
like 1940. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty. It was. I'm going to say 86, 85.
Okay, so they weren't even that old.
No.
No. Yes, that is correct. They weren't even that old. We started to use the 80 right away, which was great. But I loved the little 4-speed in the 79, and it was gold, and it had the factory front spoiler, which is like a Komi or something.
Kamai?
Kamai. It just looked really good, and I think that's where I fell in love with sort of
Quad headlight car? Is that
quad headlight. Yes, round.
Yep.
And it had a plaid tan interior, which
Ooh.
again, gorgeous.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome combination. What color was the exterior?
Gold,
Oh,
factory gold,
awesome.
and it was absolutely delicious to drive. Again, staying in the 4,000 to 5,000 RPM range as you're going on the highway, and
Those were 8-valve cars, right? Not 16-valve cars?
8 valves. Yeah,
Yeah, 16-valve Scirocco's didn't come out till later.
right. 80,
It's funny that you were
87.
cross-shopping Scirocco's and Impulses because they're both designed by the same guy.
I know.
Yeah.
They-
They're both...
Oh, that's why they look the same.
They look very similar.
Giagiaro. They're both Giorgetto Giagiaro. I don't know the real pronunciation of his name, but he designed both those cars.
Well, if you want something to look nice, you go to the Italians.
Yeah.
Not necessarily run well, but if you want it to look nice.
Well, that's the right there. The Scirocco is an Italian-designed car with quality German engineering. So that's a good car.
So I had to fix up the 79. So I ended up. This is before Craigslist. This is before the internet.
Yeah.
I think it was the classified in the Telegram Gazette in Worcester and there was a 78, which I believe I bought. I'm almost positive I bought for $50. It might have been $60. That didn't run at the time, and it had a good nose though, and I needed to cut off the nose of that to put onto the 79. And that's another story. But we ended up trying to push that car from Worcester with my 80 Scirocco and my friend driving it through Worcester, maybe about 15 miles to my home in Charlton. Got halfway there when a cop came the other way, turned around, and stopped us. And
What the hell are you doing, kids?
yes, threatened to give us a ticket. Can't have an unregistered, uninsured car. What are you guys doing?
Well, you weren't driving it. It's fine.
But pushing it through downtown Worcester was epic. Foolish, but epic.
Yeah, that's a good story now.
So
Mom and Dad probably weren't thrilled.
Mom
then.
and Dad didn't even know.
Oh, okay.
So we did have that the repairs done, and I did within a few months have a working gold 79, which
That's cool.
I absolutely loved. Again, I think that gave me sort of that love of that small 4-cylinder, that high revving, which I love with the Miata
Which
as well.
also wasn't common at the time to be a 4-cylinder guy.
Right,
Especially, I know around here it was a lot of, still in the 80s, a lot of V8 drag race guys.
right. Everybody would have the older.
Well, I mean, you could still buy a 70 Camaro for pennies at that point. It wasn't...
But if you're into imports, you're going to be into Volkswagens,
Yeah.
most likely. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny when you started your story about saying you started with Volkswagens. I immediately thought that you were going to say, I started with a Beetle, because that's usually the Volkswagen starting story, but...
Funny you should say that. I started with a Beetle.
Oh, okay.
Now that you mention it, this was before I could drive.
Okay.
My grandmother gave me I'm going to say orange because I don't know the year, Beetle. That was hers, and I think I might have been 12 at the time, and we had enough land in the back.
To cruise around with it.
Cruised around. I actually would drive that thing around in the same direction so much that the wheels actually were permanently
Canted
angled,
over.
yes, in one direction. But that was how I first learned to drive a stick.
That's cool.
I don't know if that really made me love Volkswagens as much because I think it was more the shape of the Scirocco and the ability to, I guess, like be able to touch the passenger window from the driver's seat.
Yeah, a small
it was just
little car,
a small
yeah.
little car. But then again, the Isuzu was also kind of that same, almost
It's a bigger car.
and a little newer styling. Like it,
Yep. A little more rounded.
yeah.
It came later, actually. I think that car came out in 82.
Which car?
The Isuzu?
Impulse.
I don't
think
know.
it was 82.
I don't know
I'll-
about the Isuzu.
I will fact check myself.
I'm
as-
sure
as
somebody
we,
will call in with the right answer.
Yes. Impulse actually came out as the Piazza overseas in 81, and then came out here in 82 as the Impulse.
I would not have bought it if it was called a Piazza.
Yes, you would have. It's almost pizza. It's awesome. The car name doesn't have much to do with
Isuzu
buying
Pizza.
the car.
I don't know. Scirocco, which stands for
Wind.
warm wind
Yeah.
coming out of the desert or something like
Yeah,
that.
something like that. At the time, all of Volkswagen's cars had weather and wind related names.
The Golf.
Yeah, it's a Golf Wind. It's not golf like golf.
Rabbit?
Well, Rabbit. Well, all of Volkswagen's home market cars.
Oh, gotcha.
They changed the name of the Golf here to the Rabbit for some copyright thing. I think I don't exactly remember what it was. There's a story behind that, which is
really?
a story we should look into, but I forget exactly what the reasoning was. But they call it the Rabbit here for some legal reasons. I'm pretty sure
Somebody probably already had it copyrighted, yeah.
for
Kinda
something
like
else. Yeah,
Like a 356 was a Continental at first.
correct. And the 911 was called 901 at first.
Yeah.
So they couldn't sell a car called the Continental because Lincoln had the
Continental.
Yep,
Yeah.
and the
No.
and the 901 was owned by
Peugeot.
Peugeot owned any cars with 3 numbers with a 0 in the middle.
Yeah.
Really?
That was Peugeot's copyright, so the 901 couldn't exist, which is why they just changed it to the 911. That's anyway. So before you had a car,
Yes.
before you had a Beetle,
I walked.
at 12.
Yes.
Yes, you walked. Were you into cars at all? Did you build model cars as a kid? Collect Hot Wheels cars as a kid? Do any of that kind of stuff? Or was it just kind of a casual, didn't really care? Probably had Hot Wheels cars as a kid, but weren't like obsessed with cars, just kind of...
Right. There was Hot Wheel cars as a kid. Well, There was a TV show, again, not to show my age, but it was...
You already have. It's okay. You were driving 87.
Chips. And Chips had a lot of cars and car chases.
Car
and,
wrecks.
Yes, car wrecks, exactly. So, in order to replicate what you saw on TV, you would take your Hot Wheels cars and you would set their wheels on fire because that made it look authentic. Wrecked, yes, and hammers, and so you'd have an accident just like in Chips. However, that also destroyed the value of all of your Hot Wheel cars.
Also, the playability of them.
Yes, without wheels.
Once you burn the wheels off, your Hot Wheels car is now a paperweight.
But it's funny that you mentioned Chips because it was on in syndication when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah,
so
I
I would
watch
watch it all the time.
I think, honestly, that Chips is what drew me to most of the compact cars of the 70s and 80s.
Now, have you seen some of the repeats? Because I love watching some of those.
Well, it was on all the time when I get home from school. It was on like USA or TNT or something in just reruns, and I used to watch it all the time. And that's like I said, they were pulling over Dodge Colts and they were pulling over Volkswagen Rabbits and they're pulling all the cars that I love today.
Yeah.
Were the cars that Ponch and John would pull over on the regular.
And when they're just driving down the street and you see all those cars just on the side.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh my God.
Datsuns and Toyotas and all these weird 70s cars that just didn't exist around here by the time I was old enough to notice.
The one that sticks out in my mind is the episode where was it the Firebird catches on fire?
The gold Firebird.
And then he buys it and restores it? Like that's over like several episodes.
I do remember that, yes. Yes, I also distinctly remember a blue Dodge Colt getting pulled over and it being like some attractive blonde woman that he said, that Poncherello winds up taking out to dinner or something. But I remember she was driving a blue, like, 74 Colt Carousel with the white vinyl top. And that car always stuck with me for some reason. And, I got into Mitsubishis via the Talon and then obviously went back from there. But as I got more and more into the stuff, that memory kind of came back. And I actually looked into it and... I was like, oh, yeah, that is the car. I remember this. For some reason, I remembered it, and it existed. So
That's awesome.
Stupid television show.
Yeah. Stupid television. So that ruined a lot of my collection as a child, but I remembered all of the cars, and I remember, I'm going to say Albert Salonis, who used to have all of these beautiful Hot Wheels that he would bring, and we would play with at recess. And
so he was a friend of yours.
A friend of mine.
Yes.
Thinking back now of all those Spectraflame cars, they were all like 1969, 1970, 1971 cars that are worth hundreds of dollars now that we would just be playing with on the...
So the reason that they're worth hundreds of dollars is because kids like you destroyed them all anyway.
Yes, exactly.
So now you have just alluded to your current collection of Hot Wheels cars by knowing about Spectraflame and Redlines and the era of Hot Wheels cars. But we'll get to that in a minute once we finish up your childhood history of cars. But
after the Scirocco.
Did
you have anything else?
I had 7 Scirocco's altogether.
Whoa!
All Mark 1s?
All Mark 1. Well, it'd be Mark 1 was the round headlights. Mark 2 would be the square headlights, but before the 16 valve. So
I think they sold the Mark II 8 valve and 16 valve at the same time.
They did.
They may have been early ones that was only 8 valve, and then later years they had 8 valve and 16 valve cars. I'm pretty sure.
Now I remember 87 stuck out to me because my cousin bought a brand new black 16 valve.
I know 87 would have been the first year of the body kit.
16 valve, yeah, and that was sweet. And I had always wanted to get that body kit and put it on one of the older ones just to kind of, because I like the
At the time, I can see that being cool. Now, I would lambaste you terribly for doing that.
Yes. I'd probably just want to get the 16 valve to begin with. And then, that was still the Scirocco shape. And then I went to Corrado, and I was like, they kind of lost it. And then even the new Scirocco that came out, like 5 years ago, it's just...
Probably more than that now, but it's not... It's just like a squash golf now, doesn't it? Which actually, I guess the original Scirocco kind of looked like a squash golf if you come down to it, but...
So it was the same...
Yeah.
It was the same chassis?
Yes,
different,
A1.
Different seat. Lower, because you sat a lot lower in the Scirocco than you did a GTI. Because GTI seemed to be upright. And actually ran into, to circle around Volkswagen-y. In college, a friend of mine actually had an 84 GTI from Brattleboro, Vermont, and he had tricked that out with crazy suspension mods, and that kind of was again, driving that compared to the Scirocco, it was always like, well, it's more they handled very similarly, but how you sat in the cockpit was different.
Feels less sporty.
Yeah.
The Scirocco feels more special. There's no question. I've driven both cars, and I agree. The Scirocco feels more like you're in a
Probably
proper sports car.
like sitting in my Talon and then sitting in the Galant.
It's very similar, actually.
Same drivetrain,
Yeah.
like same idea, but
Different
totally
feel
different
altogether.
feel.
Yeah, because in the Talon, you sit behind that dashboard and that deep
sit
center
on the
console,
floor.
and you sit on the floor, and it's almost like you're in your own little, like...
Cocoon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas the Galant is a
You sit upright
sedan.
in a sedan.
Yeah. Drives the same, but different.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I totally get that. And having driven both Talons and Gallants and Scirocco's and
and
Golfs,
GTS.
Yeah.
I can see that comparison being true. I guess it'd be like saying, like a Camaro SS versus the Pontiac GTO in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Another same thing. It was the two-door sports coupe versus, well, they're both two-door sports coupes, but two-door sports car versus a two-door sports coupe. So it's different,
I've
same
never
but different.
Driven a Scirocco or a
Have you driven any
early
A1?
GTI? No,
No? Driven a Mark
Any
II
Volkswagens?
just the Mark III
and a Mark IV.
and Mark IV. Yeah,
What Mark III did you drive?
I don't remember. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
I had a Mark IV for years, so you drove by Mark IV.
That's
I know
definitely that. But maybe at the dealership, I probably drove Mark III or something.
No.
But definitely nothing older than that.
I don't. I have driven a Mark III, but a Cabrio. I've driven the first 4 generations. I've driven 5 generations. I've driven. So there's nothing like a first and second generation Golf. They're far superior cars as far as fun to drive over the later model ones.
Yes.
I did like my Mark IV Golf, but it wasn't as exciting.
Now, see, that's interesting because there's certain, not nostalgia, but there's smells. Like you just reminded me of the Beetle, and I guess they have the horsehair.
Gasoline smell. Yeah.
They have they had a I'm going to say whatever they used for their seats. It was
Okay.
kind of like a natural rattan or some sort of, and it had a certain smell to it. So when you opened the door and it was warm outside, it would have that sort of Beetle smell. And
Yeah.
Scirocco had a similar smell to it as
Did it?
well. That was always nice to sort of reminisce about. And so I would, when you say, Mark I, Mark II, it would be, get into that. And then it's just like,
Well, we have a Mark II you can sit in right now. It doesn't smell anything like it's supposed to, though.
Oh.
So
There's no interior in
there's
it.
no interior. in it.
It was painted with house paint. So.
this is the rally car?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And actually, unfortunately, the one that I owned was a Mark IV, which
those definitely had a smell to them.
famously smelled like
Could have been
melted
smelling
crayons.
like
Yeah.
Brad. too.
Well, I mean, ultimately,
No,
at the end of the
definitely.
day, it smelled like Brad, but
My Subaru has that too. If you get in a GD body Subaru,
you can tell. It
you can
smells
tell.
like a Subaru.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the plastics that they use.
Yeah, every car has a distinct smell. You get into a Volvo, they smell like Volvos. And,
Oh yeah, there's something with the leather in the Volvo.
yeah, they have a
Really?
very almost like a mild tannery smell to them. You can smell the leather conditioning products.
Yeah.
And it stays with the car forever.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's almost sharp, the smell of a Volvo. Like it really gets to your nose. This is a really nerdy discussion about the
No,
smell
but
of
it's
the car
right.
interiors.
They
It's
do.
very true.
It's the way
they really
it
do.
is. The way the plastics are made.
Unfortunately, a lot of the old cars, just carbureted cars now, just smell like gasoline because
Yes.
they're old.
Yes.
But that's just the passage of time, I guess, has permeated the gas smell permanently into the car. But it is what it is.
Yeah. So the Volkswagens, the Scirocco's, I ended up getting out of because of some inherent issues with them. I did most of the suspension.
At that point, they were getting old.
They were getting old, but there was, I guess, a design flaw where the front windshield would leak directly onto the fuse box, which was over by your left foot.
That's a pretty big design flaw.
Yeah.
The windshield leaking? Oh, like a sunroof drain.
I think it's the windshield leaking. It would just cause gremlins that were hard to kind of track down, and it got to be a little bit too much. But I mean, I enjoyed, as I do now with the Jeep and with the 91 Miata, just the less complicated computer.
Yeah, the overall simplicity of the
Right.
car.
So it's kind of like Legos for big people. You can take pieces off, put pieces back on. Hey, it still works.
That's kind of the ethos of the whole auto off-topic thing. Is simplicity is good. It's we like simple cars. Even your newer cars are fairly simple. You don't have a fancy new luxury car.
No.
Like even your wife's new car is a pretty straightforward car with a manual transmission. It's not anything. Yeah, it's a more complicated computer because it's a new car.
The only
but
complicated would be the CAN bus stuff, but
but it's compared to most new cars, that car's pretty simple.
yeah.
So we definitely prefer the simple cars around here, which is how we know you because we know each other through simple cars.
Simple cars.
Simple cars for simple folk. That should be our new podcast logo. Simple cars for simple folk. But yeah, we're very into that.
Yeah,
So-
actually, we had that's our other guest Ken with the Volkswagens. That's how we met him.
We met him at the same place he met Jim.
Same place.
I'm going to borrow your whiskey here, Brad.
Borrow my whiskey.
Well, you didn't drink it yet, and I'm done mine, so.
That's fine. I have beer as well, so I don't need whiskey
Yeah.
as well. You can definitely drink my whiskey. Plus, there's a whole bottle of it upstairs.
I
If I
know.
actually
There's
really
a couple
needed
bottles,
more.
yes.
Yeah. We're drinking. What are we drinking tonight, Andrew?
It's the Balvenie double cask.
Okay.
So
I don't know much about that.
14?
14 year. I think half of it is aged in whiskey barrels, and then the other half is in rum
Yeah, rum barrels.
barrels. So that's how you get your half and half. So it picks up a little rum flavor.
I'm sure
Some
it's
people
delicious.
like it. Some people
Actually,
don't.
I've had it
I like
before.
it.
I like it, though.
Yeah.
I like beer aged in rum barrels, so
Yeah.
whiskey would probably be good too.
I like beer aged in my fridge.
Yeah, oh, that too. But
So after the Scirocco's, did it go right
was there
to
any sporty cars in between that and Miatas, or is it kind of just
Go right to Miatas?
That was all sporty cars. What are you talking about?
No, I was saying any sporty cars in between the Scirocco's and the Miatas. Or is that just more like the Jim becoming an adult part of life?
There was a this gorgeous maroon Dodge Caravan because,
Like I said, the Jim becoming an adult part of life. Yes.
because I became an adult and I started to have kids.
Are we talking 80s Caravan or are we talking 90s rounded Caravan?
90s rounded Caravan, which
All right, we can move on then.
which I actually like. There are certain things to a caravan, well, to minivans in general, which I enjoyed because, again, it is a lot of room.
Mm-hmm.
There's space to move around, space to move things.
Oh, yeah.
It was
There's no
nice.
denying the utility of a minivan. That's why they have sold millions and millions of them over the
Billions,
years.
yes.
And we actually like minivans as well. We just like weird minivans like Mitsubishi Delicas and Volkswagen Vanagons.
Yes.
I could really care less about a
Dodge.
Dodge minivan
Gotcha.
from the Dodge.
So after a series of 4 minivans over the years,
Kids got older. You didn't need
kids
minivans
got older.
anymore.
Yeah, no. Then I got into the Miatas, I think, in 2005, which was
So that's not long before we met you then, actually.
right. That was a coworker had the automatic that I was telling you about, and he had bought it new, and he was moving down south, and said, "Hey, I'll."
Didn't want to take his Miata with him down south. That's
No.
a weird thing to not take with you.
Well, he had just bought a Volvo C70, which is the convertible,
Okay.
the power hardtop,
Yep.
and he kind of fell in love with that, and didn't.
I mean, I guess if you're driving an automatic Miata, you're not in it for the.
Yes, he was. It was not. It was now. Again, the caveat is it's still handled like a Miata. So the handling
Yes.
part, which is again addictive, was great, and the fact that you could drink a coffee while you were driving was also a nice.
I'm glad you said coffee and not whiskey.
Yes, no,
Because we'd have to edit that out of the podcast.
and so that was good, and the price was at the time I thought reasonable. So I think it was maybe just a tick over 90,000 miles. With a hardtop for $2,500.
That's always been a good price for a Miata.
Yes.
So-
I can't imagine a time when today that's bottom dollar for a 90,000 mile car with a hardtop.
Right,
So
but not the automatic. Automatic, you could probably
with a hardtop,
right. Well,
less than 100,000 miles. I bet it's still a $2,500 car. Into that 2018, I bet you can't really find a Miata, a first-gen Miata of any year with less than 100,000 miles on a hardtop for less than $2,500.
we're going to get back to that because
Other than the one you did find,
I
That's
did
beside the
find one.
point.
Yes,
If you were to go out looking for,
right.
you wouldn't find it.
Right.
It's
But
one of
if
those
you just-
cars that just kind of
if you
you
just,
stumble upon
if you just happen to be looking at Craigslist
daily.
you will.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll eventually come across a
Well, that's how I got into the
$140 hardtop, and you will also come across a beautiful condition Miata, Special Edition 91, with a hardtop for $500. But we can get back to that later.
Now I'm jealous again.
So the
Oh, my dad paid for his too, though.
What do you pay?
He paid like $1,000 or
Something
like
crazy
that,
low.
something
Really?
like that.
With a hardtop?
No hardtop, no.
Oh.
Same car, though.
Same car.
Yeah. Minus the hardtop.
Hardtop is choice, though, especially when you get
It is. And it's funny because she had a hardtop. And she had advertised the car initially with the hardtop. And somebody came down and paid her almost asking price of the car
just for the
just for the top. So then she had just the car to sell. So
She's happy.
yeah.
So, yeah, I had that, the red one for a number of years, and I actually ran that, I think, 5 years with all year round. Mm-hmm. And
Which Miata in the winter is fun.
it is.
Automatic or not.
As long as you have less than 8 inches of snow and dedicated snow tires, rear-wheel drive Miata in New England winter, awesome.
Yeah, we definitely preach the snow tires around here.
Yes. So up until I got hit by a car when the snowbanks were over 6 feet high
Because you couldn't see the Miata pulling out.
because he couldn't see the Miata driving down the road,
Yep.
and he just pulled out. And I think I got, I don't know, close to $2,000 from the insurance company that never went back into the Miata, went into my pocket. But that was always sort of the car that I was going to fix over time. 5 years, I think, 2010, I ended up with my first,
BRG.
yeah, British Racing Green,
Yeah.
which was finally a 5-speed. And then I learned how much better the 5-speed is than the automatic.
Significantly.
Significantly,
Yeah.
especially when we're talking about the 1.6 engine.
Yeah.
And then I just absolutely fell in love with just the whole color, the interior.
Because it has the tan leather interior and the tan top. And
Right.
It's a pretty car.
It is a pretty car. And then, again, what you learn from doing the suspension and the brakes and everything on the automatic, you take that with you, and now you have a better understanding about what you can do. And what was always attractive to Miatas is that the aftermarket is fairly inexpensive.
And huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
A lot of support. And I've come to learn that there's a lot of support even globally, because there are quite a few, obviously, from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of just extra stuff that wasn't around here, but you can
You
still
could build
get
$1 million
nowadays.
Miata if you
$1 million,
tried.
yes.
Yeah.
And just the wheels, everything, that was just...
Some of those body kits are pretty crazy.
They
The
are.
Japanese ones, the pit
Pit crew, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and really went whole hog into that, and did the whole, again, the suspension, powder coated all the parts that I could, brakes, valve cover, basically repainted the whole thing. New clutch, new, again, going back to the shiny radiator. Got a nice aluminum radiator, double core. Beautiful.
That wasn't driven in the winter, so it never failed.
That was never right. Ground control coilovers with Bilstein shocks from a 99, and that was another thing. You know, from 89 to 2005,
Essentially the same car.
interchangeable.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of parts, including interior pieces like dashboards and door panels and
I
things,
didn't
could
know
actually
that.
be transferred over
I didn't know that either.
with slight modifications. Seen it done, and it was really kind of cool. It gave enough variation that you could make it your
I've
own.
never delved into a Miata past the 91 myself.
I remember
so.
there was something where you could swap the rear tops of the struts or something from later ones.
Yeah, the NB struts
They
gave
give you
you
more.
a little bit more travel, and since that time they've modified them so that you could actually get up to 2 inches of extra travel on them as well. Like they'll do different top hats which have a little bit more travel, but
So you can lower it but still get travel.
right. And then I did ground control coilovers so you could lower it even further if you'd like.
It'd still make it drivable.
But again, right, it's more function over form. Wait, is it form over function?
Form of a function.
Yeah.
Yes. So I had it at a reasonable rate, but looking
Well, they look better low, reasonable than they do scraping on the pavement, in my personal opinion anyway. So
Correct.
Well, the neat thing is with the double wishbone front and rear, so you can do all the adjustments.
yes, you can make
don't
it
need to
lower as high as you want and
You
fix
don't-
your camber.
Yeah, you don't need to have
gasket.
camber plates or anything.
Yep.
right, and that's what was amazing about that is just the unsprung weight with the wheels, excuse me, and the tires. and getting a good alignment. I mean, the alignment was not key, but you could get aggressive enough. You would wear out your tires prematurely, but you can get a lot more aggressive into the corners and stuff like that. And there was enough support online with different websites, Miata.net and Club Roadster and such, that there was just a wealth of information at your fingertips. So, get new tires, go down and get your alignment, have a set that, somebody suggests is really great. You try it out for a little bit, see how it works. Next set of tires, maybe go more aggressive, less aggressive. But it was just a great car to kind of to do that with. And again, the interior bits from new gauges, custom gauges, having those done, having gauge. They have like these. I don't even know who makes it off the top of my head now.
Oh,
the gauge
custom
clusters.
gauges.
Rev Limiter did the custom faces, but then there was also the gauge panel that had vintage lights. So they were like old bulbs, like an MGB would have for turn indicators and such. And again, Nardi wheel, Nardi shift knobs, the support again for the leather and stuff like that, for all the leather bits.
You have all the good stuff on the car, none of the cheesy old man bits on the car that you see at the car shows.
Correct.
So it's fine.
Yeah,
that's why we all got along just fine. Like, this guy gets it. We're gonna like him. He doesn't have chrome doodads everywhere and giant oversized wheels and a Continental kit. Yes. Some of our local Miata enthusiasts run Continental kits on their Miatas.
Yes.
It's pretty freaking gross. I'd like to go back a little bit in our conversation and chat about Volkswagen Golfs versus Rabbits.
Yeah.
Apparently there was no copyright issue. There was a gentleman who was a Chevrolet engineer who was chosen to run the Volkswagen plant when they decided to start building them in America, in Pennsylvania. And he thought it'd be a good idea to Americanize the cars, an act which a German engineer named Werner Schmidt referred to as Malibuing the car, making it more like a Chevy Malibu. And he decided to call them Rabbits because it sounded more American.
I guess.
I don't know why Golf and Rabbit would be any more than one or the other, but he was in charge of the Americanizing of the car and the softening of the car, which the Germans called Malibuing the car, obviously as a dig at the Chevy Malibu. So I think it's kind of funny. Anyway, that's a little end around to that story we were talking about earlier. I've been trying to figure out the whole time, so I can't find anything but why, just other than that quip. So that's interesting. So, Miata, is that your thing now? You don't have that Miata anymore? You do still have that Miata?
No, I actually sold that.
You sold that Miata because you bought the cheaper one, so you figured you could make the profit and then use the money to build this one nicer.
Correct. Okay. So, what was the last thing I did? Oh, a Borla dual exhaust, which
sounds cheesy.
For the Miata.
For the Miata.
But it
sounded really nice.
Sounded really nice.
Yeah.
And again,
somewhere I have an audio clip of that car when you passed me on the highway. I don't know where it is. I'll have to find it.
I would love that.
Yeah, I'll have to find that.
And it seems like it happens every 5 years because in 2015 I was perusing. This one actually, the first green one came from North Jersey off of Craigslist, and in 2015 I happened to be looking in North Jersey again, and lo and behold, there was the worst written Craigslist ad ever for Miata.
Maybe for Miata, but I bet there's definitely worse out there.
I think it was
car for sale.
2 sentences long.
Car for sale.
Yes. And come to find out, it was written by, I would say, about an 85-year-old man, basically saying he had a Miata and it needed $3,000 worth of work, and he wanted $500 for it. And I would have passed over it. There was no pictures until I happened to, out of the corner of my eye, see the color selection.
Green.
And it was green.
Yep.
So I had to say, hey, $500 green Miata.
How bad could it be?
How bad could it be?
I at least need parts. Yeah.
So I believe this was on a Friday. Again, we're going to go back to the fact that he was 85. I emailed him. I want to say, no, it might have been a Thursday, and he took 2 days to get back to me. via email because he wasn't technologically savvy. And he said he could take some photos. He would have to have a friend come over to take some photos and send them to me.
Awesome.
He was Jewish. I guess he's still Jewish, if he's still alive. And
he's still alive. We're going to go with he's still alive
He's still
because we're a
alive.
positive,
Yeah,
we're a
we
positive vibes podcast.
I
here.
assume he's still alive. And it was the Sabbath, so he couldn't email them to me.
I'm glad you said it was the Sabbath because I didn't know where you were going to go with the he's Jewish comment.
Oh.
And I wasn't gonna get upset with whatever you had to say next.
No, he couldn't.
So that just happened to be the same time that we were at the Japanese car show.
Okay. I
In
remember talking to you
2015?
about it when it was happening.
Yes, and
I think you called me because we were going to maybe go down and get it or something.
So
and
I remember walking through the Japanese car show at the Lars Anderson, and that was Sunday, and getting an email back with pictures of the car. And the car was indeed green
and in decent shape.
and guess what? It had a hardtop.
Oh, okay.
So now $500 for a hardtop alone is worth it. $500 for a hardtop and a car
yeah.
is definitely worth it. Again, I think it was 93,000 miles. Problem was the clutch had gone on it, and since he didn't do the work himself, he got a quote, and I guess...
Huge money to put a
Yeah.
clutch in the car.
Way
Shop,
too much.
Yeah.
So I told him immediately that I'll take it, and made arrangements to go down there on a Tuesday with a U-Haul trailer, which I did, got the car, and signed the paperwork, and I have that car now. And what was really nice about that is I came to find out it had been Z-barded, which is what they usually do in Canada, which is the oil.
Yeah, it's like Rusty Jones.
Right.
A newer version of Rusty Jones.
Yeah, where they drill holes in the car and spray an oil kind of anti-rust. So the rockers on it are perfect, which was an issue in most every other New England Miata.
Northeast car, yeah.
So I had at one point, a couple of years ago, 3 Miatas, which was the original red that I was working on. The first green, which was a daily driver, and even more so that where I would just go out just to drive and relax, which, again, living in sort of northern Mass, southern New Hampshire area, absolutely amazing roads up through that area
Yeah.
to do that along the coast.
Yeah, you
and
live
such.
about 5 miles from me, and I do the same thing.
Right.
So that's people always make fun of my small motorcycle, but that's why I have a small displacement motorcycle, so I can
Exactly.
go on those windy back roads and
Yeah,
ring
and
it
there's
out.
Nothing
enjoy it.
better
Yeah.
than having the top down, going out at night, and just tearing up some roads where 30 to 50 feels like
110.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's just amazing. And
No,
then
I agree.
so I at a certain point was going to have one green car as sort of like a show car, one of them a little bit more aggressive for sort of possible track day stuff, and then things just changed a little bit where I said, you know what,
I don't need two of these things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of do need 2 of them,
You have two identical ones.
but yes, I wouldn't mind a 95 Merlot, but that's another
It's
year.
not identical.
So I ended up selling one to a gentleman up in Kittery, Maine, who loves the car. Originally, I was going to take the Borla off. I was going to take some of the tasty bits out
But he
of
loved everything.
He loved everything and said, you know what, I'll take that Borla for additional $400. I'll take the interior gauge
Yeah,
sets
you
for
can't,
another.
you can't really complain at that point,
No.
son. You get your money back out of the stuff, which is rare.
Yeah, it is, and I still miss it. But the fact that I'm still in touch with him, still in touch with the car,
You can go drive together come this spring.
that's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
So
And actually, we can get my father's British racing Miata, and we can all cruise
That-
together with 3 of them.
that would be that would not be bad.
Yeah. So, moving on, I think, probably from the real cars now. You want to move on to talking about some scale stuff, Andrew?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about scale stuff.
So this is one of the main reasons that we have you on here as a guest, other than that you're our friend, I'll be able to talk to you.
Thank you.
Ollie, stop it. Scale cars. Now, we nerd out every now and then again in the podcast, which I'm sure you've heard, over scale die-cast cars. And you have turned the corner from burning the wheels off of them
Yes,
to collecting them pretty hardcore.
pretty hardcore.
So what is it that got you turned around at that point into collecting scale cars?
The year was 1995. Yeah. Actually, it was. Just had my first child. Lived in Revere, Mass. And I was in Toys R Us. I might have been collecting 1/18th scale at that point. So Ertl did a really nice...
would have been big early years. The American Muscle.
American Muscle.
Yeah.
And they were $19.99.
Yep.
Yeah, they're $20.
$20, and there were lots of them.
And they always had tons of them at Toys R Us.
And they were beautiful ones, and then they had some special editions. So I ended up probably 2 or 3 years before that, I kind of got into the muscle cars. I think my first one was a Boss 302.
Was it
in
yellow?
Yeah.
Yes.
So here's the funny thing. That was my first American Muscle early car as well.
Yeah,
I still have it to this day.
Yeah, that was mine.
That one I'll never get rid of. But I bought it actually not at Toys R Us. I bought it at there used to be, my father used to run with his car club, the North Shore Old Car Club, had the Topsfield Fairgrounds car show and car auction and flea market.
Yeah.
And there was a vendor there every year that sold diecast cars, and I actually bought that Mustang there. And I think it was, it was like $20.
What was the other toy store? It wasn't Toys R Us. It was
Child
World.
KB.
KB
Oh, yeah,
Toys.
KB.
KB had tons of diecast. KB also, incidentally, off topic, used to sell to Maya model cars.
Yes.
Really?
They did.
They
and
are
when
MRC.
when they went out of business, the KB in Salem had like 80% off all their remaining inventory. And I bought like 11 to Maya model cars for like $15.
I heard a news story that several Toys R Us's are going out of business.
They are.
They're closing the stores, yeah.
That
Yeah.
sucks.
They filed for bankruptcy not
Yeah,
too long
I don't
ago.
wonder if the one up here in
I
Peabody...
feel like the one up here is pretty busy all the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, at least the Hot Wheels aisle is.
Yeah,
That's one thing
yeah.
I noticed.
I was told, too, that Yellow Ertl at one point was worth quite a bit of money.
Only if you had the original packaging, which I did not have.
Yeah, I think...
So,
I did not.
Yeah.
What was your second one, by the way?
see, the second one's a little less memorable because I don't remember it. It could have been one of a few different ones. I
Purple
don't know.
Cuda was mine.
I never had the
or
Cuda.
See, I went all because they were muscle cars. So I remember vividly. I had a shelf unit in the living room, and I think I started with like 9 or 10 of them, just kind of laid out. And you're like, all right, that's nice, that's nice. And 1995 happened to be in the Toys R Us. Now that I remember, and there's a gentleman who I became very good friends with since then, who was going crazy on the Hot Wheels, like just going through them, and I couldn't help but notice that he was
Right. Looking for Hot Wheels cars.
looking for Hot Wheels cars. 1995. Struck up a conversation with him, and his passion there got me hooked on Hot Wheels because he's like, oh, there are these Hot Wheels, and there's these variations of them, and there's these treasure hunts, and there are special cars, and now...
Which you had to be in the know then to know it, too, because there was no
Right.
internet, there was no Instagram, there was no Lamley blog, there was none of these things to shove these things in your face. You just had to know where to find out this stuff.
Exactly. So his passion was addictive, and he had, I want to say, maybe 30 or 40 in his cart.
Yep.
And instantly I got hooked. And, he was showing me, he's picking them up. He's like, see this wheel? That wheel is on this car, but it's a different wheel. And it's like, and the windshields are different colors on these. And
it's funny, in 95, there weren't as many nice replicas of cars. There was a lot more toys.
right. Right.
So,
And they weren't like, there was only a few wheel variations back
Yep.
then, where now it's absolutely amazing to see some of what they're doing. And this is funny, we ended up finishing the conversation there. He mentioned a few to look for, and I mentioned that there was another, it turned out he was visiting from the West Coast, and I said, oh, there's another Toys R Us up in Peabody, the one that's
Yep.
down here.
yeah, exactly.
And he's like, oh, all right, good.
I'm going there next. Yeah.
I didn't know he was going there next.
Oh, okay.
I got in my car, the minivan at the time,
Yep.
and I flew up there. I drove.
To find these special things he was talking about?
Yes, because it was one of those things of like, I got to get up there.
Yeah.
So I fly up to Peabody. I walk down the aisle. He's already in the store. Don't know how he did it, but immediately that's where we sort of got that connection. So we laughed that off. I got a few cars, I think, then, and got bit by the Hot Wheel bug. In so much as it pertained to the 95 years, it also sort of sparked my childhood memories of
Burning
cars.
wheels of Hot Wheels cars.
Right, the cars that I had in the 80s,
Yep.
which were black wheel cars, but you had your Torino stock, or you had your Mustang stock, or you had your Nomad.
All same stuff in the
Exactly.
80s, too. Yeah.
So,
You talk about getting your license in 87, but you're probably about 10 years older than me, I'd guess.
possibly.
I was born in 81. Does that make you about 10 years older than me?
Sure.
Right around there. So we still there's a little bit of crossover in the 80s of collecting things
Right.
like that, because you were still a kid and I was a kid.
So and basically the information that you could find out, again, it was early internet days, no blogs, no even eBay. I don't think existed.
AOL chat rooms about Hot Wheels cars.
You want to stay out of there.
Yeah.
But there were some Hot Wheel books, and the name of the author escapes me, who did the first sort of collector books. But Kevin was the name of the gentleman, Kevin Ray. He had a book, and once you have a Hot Wheel collector book with the prices, and he opens it up, and they go all the way from the beginning till now,
yeah.
and you're just like, oh,
I
that
had
one's worth
that.
a couple
I had that.
$1,000.
I had that.
That one's worth this.
Yep.
This game, and now you're completely hooked. You see this as an attainable kind of goal, and Hot Wheels did something excellent, which is the price hasn't really increased
Hasn't
much.
changed with inflation at all.
So when you say, "Oh, it's only $1 here, it's only $1 there," it doesn't seem to impact you too much.
Nope, I agree. It's 100%. And
Yep.
the problem with that is you go to the store to look at Hot Wheels cars, and you're like, "Oh, I'll buy a Hot Wheels car," and you're like, "I found 10 Hot Wheels cars." Now $1 is $10.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
now
was,
it starts to affect the wallet a little bit.
that was back in the day. Nowadays, it's like, "Oh, this is a $4 car," and this one, which I also like from another manufacturer, is another $4 car or $8 car.
I'll
Or
show you. I brought some cars to bring our conversation a little longer. So I don't know if you're as big into the collecting the off-brand stuff. You're more of a Hot Wheels guy.
I enjoy model cars no matter what.
Okay.
In fact, now that I remember, and this could be something for you guys.
For all our audience, he's
No.
reaching into his pocket.
Yes. So
Then and now.
then and now, and
NSX.
you should have, and you probably have them.
I don't have them. No, I
it
don't.
might
That's
be
the yellow
nice
one.
to have all your guests give you guys Hot Wheel cars
Oh, I
add
like
to
that.
your collections,
Oh, neat.
and you can
You got to sign both these packages, and we're
so
going to hang
you
them on the
can
wall.
trade them if you'd like.
No, I'm dead serious. We're going to have you sign both packages and hang them on the
some
wall. And it's going to be our new thing.
I would be happy.
That would be funny. I like that. Excellent. Thank you for this. Actually, I don't have the yellow NSX yet, so that's good.
So it's the 90 and the
2017.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll get down.
So that has grown into, I'm going to say, 10,000 plus cars.
Which now, when you talk about your $1 a piece,
Right.
you have 10,000 plus cars.
Yes.
That's 10,000 plus dollars.
But you don't think about it like that because they're all like
You bought them $1 at a
your,
time.
your children.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, no, some of them. Well,
Some of them cost more, I'm sure.
yeah.
But at the core of it, you have 10,000 $1 cars.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's not a tradable commodity
No.
for goods and services,
Right. As much as you would like.
as much as you'd like it to be.
And some of them aren't as collectible anymore.
Now the market's dropped a little bit, especially
Yeah.
where they've re-released things over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And-
interesting that you said 95, because at least this is on the Wikipedia page. It said this is there. Most believe the collecting craze started with the treasure hunts in 1995.
Yes, he happened to luck on that year.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. And I was about to touch on that. It was incredible because Kevin and I, again, became friends. And I believe this was even early cell phone days too.
Yeah, 95 would have been early cell phone days.
We had
would have been
met-
just after the bag phone.
Right, exactly.
You guys exchanged your numbers and your flip Motorola's.
Yeah, Motorola flip phone.
And, we would go to stores or meet at stores together and see.
Which made it harder to find things individually because you
Right.
both searching for the same things.
But we would also trade, which
Yep.
was nice. So if he found a treasure hunt, I had some KB Toys stores next to where I worked. Happened to find 2 treasure hunt Camaros, which
Are now worth money, actually.
they were
The 95 Treasure Hunt
yes,
Camaros? Yeah.
very, very. And I traded Kevin one for a T-Bird treasure hunt of that year, so that I could make my collection.
The custom T-Bird was the name of that car, I think?
The black one, yes.
Yeah.
And I should have done that, but.
Nerd. Andrew's shaking his head. He's like, I don't know this stuff at all. Why do you guys know this stuff? It's funny, 'cause I remember the 95 year of Hot Wheels as well. Because about that same time, so I was born 81. So at 95, I would have been 14 years old.
A young Brad with just a little beard.
No beard, no. Definitely no beard at all. But at 14, you start getting more and more, freedom from your parents in your house. So at 14, I was old enough to, leave the neighborhood in the bicycle. You know what I mean? So I remember riding to KB Toys up the street. And
Nice.
I remember so like 95 would have been when I started buying Hot Wheels on my own rather than just having things that my dad would pick up places. So I remember, because I think that the 68 Cutlass came out that year. It was a yellow casting. Might have been 95, maybe 96. It was a black wall car. Anyway, it was one of the first really nice replica style Hot Wheels cars that they started doing it around that era in time. They had a Cutlass and they had a Barracuda convertible. They're both around the same era. Might have even been up to like 97 at that point, but that's the era that I really started collecting as well.
Yeah, I mean it was pivotal.
Because that was the year I stopped playing with them and started collecting them as
models.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't play with mine as much. I
No.
might
I
look.
might roll one around the desk
Yes,
sometimes.
yes. I mean, and I don't open all of them. I have quite a few opened cases with open cars that were purchased afterwards, and had gone back into collecting some of the ones from my youth in the best
Yeah,
condition
which-
possible. And
To
then
buy it in packaging now is
Right. And then-
abhorrently expensive.
then knowing sort of the price of some of the older ones from before my time, which we used to play with at recess, like I said.
Correct, the 1968 model.
Yes. And I have, again, I think that was an early Craigslist or maybe even eBay. That was eBay.
I think eBay predates Craigslist, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it does.
Or close. They're very close. eBay is late 90s. Craigslist might be late 90s.
No, either way.
Well,
They were both around for a long time before I started using
You
them.
guys
put it
keep
that
talking
way,
and
so-
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Well,
keep talking about nerdy stuff.
when
He'll look
you-
up other nerdy stuff.
when you find a ad for some old Matchbox and
1995.
95.
Craigslist.
Really?
really,
It might have been just like
perfect
San Francisco
store.
or something.
I didn't even have the internet yet then, so it doesn't matter. But
eBay, 1995.
oh, excellent!
Really?
Look at that.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if Brad, a young 14-year-old Brad with the internet would be
No, I mean I think we had the internet probably close to then,
okay.
but I mean the internet then wasn't
Wasn't fast.
anything that it is today. So
Nope.
A lot less porn.
I'm sure, yeah.
Anyway, I'm just assuming there's porn on the internet. I've
Yeah.
heard stories. Anyways, there was a.
You're a Hot Wheels collector. Don't
I am.
lie.
So.
Well, if you mean there's lots of pictures of Hot Wheels cars, then yes.
Yes, Hot Wheel porn. That's
Yes.
what I'm talking about. There were a few really good deals where I got like $11 worth of loose Matchbox, which I went to buy, and then the guy didn't know that he also had a bunch of 1973 Hot Wheels in mint condition. The cars were worth a couple of $100 a piece.
You bought
And-
$11 for a whole package of them. Awesome.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But, this just reminded me. When I was living and working in Cambridge, there was a Toys R Us in Cambridge by Alwife. And this is the weirdest story. I would go in to look every so often. And so I'm looking, and I see a blister pack that has a Spectraflame swinging wing in it. Red
That's
line.
odd. Yeah.
That is odd. Look around. I think I got 5 red lines that were all repackaged, brought back, and put on the shelf. I can only surmise that somebody, a kid, I'm assuming, had
Wanted
old
new
Hot
ones.
Wheels,
Yeah.
got new ones, opened them carefully, put them back together, glued them, and there was one Camaro. It was the Spectraflame green Camaro with the opening hood. The only problem with that was...
That's pre-73, right?
Yes, it was a red line. The hood actually had broken off, so he had glued it back in, but it was still a nice car. So I think I got 8. I kept going back and found a few of them
More and
over the
more,
course. Yeah. But that was the weirdest red line story.
I've never found anything that old in a Toys R Us or Walmart, but I have seen returned cars that are much older than they should be in the story. You walk through the story like, this thing's like 10 years old. What is this doing on the shelf?
Yes.
For the longest time, the Walmart in Salem, I never bought it because I didn't want it, and then eventually it was there for like 2 years, so I eventually just bought it because it was there. But they had, remember the NHRA drag race series?
Oh,
They
yeah.
had the purple 41 Willys with the gold wheels. And it was on the shelf in that Walmart for literally 2 years, like 6 years after it should have been on the shelf. And I just kept ignoring it, being like, what is that thing doing here? And eventually I was like, I'm just going to buy this thing.
Just to get it.
Just because.
Just to kill it, yes.
Yeah, I need to have this thing in my collection. Just because I've been seeing it for so long, too late. It doesn't mean anything. It's not worth anything.
Right.
But it's just that story to me is kind of interesting. And every time I'm going through my box of, unopened Hot Wheels, I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this car. That's why I have this
Was
car.
that the story you found the guy stealing the ones?
No, that was a Danvers store.
He was stealing the cars, or he was bringing
No,
them back?
he was in the M2 cars, the more expensive.
Yes, yes.
So they're not Hot Wheels cars for our listeners who are bored to tears now about Hot Wheels talk. They're a fancier diecast company. They specialize in like old American cars,
Yep.
and they have these 18-wheelers that come with cars in the back. So
Which are nice.
They're very nice. So he was taking a box, and he was walking out of the Hot Wheels aisle down to like the sporting goods aisle, and carefully opening the box, sliding the 18-wheeler out, unscrewing the trailer, unscrewing the car out of the trailer, putting the Hot Wheels car back in the trailer, sliding the thing back in, and putting it back on the shelf of the Hot Wheels car instead of the, M2 car, which is like an $8 car or a
Right.
$7 car. He'd put a $1 Hot Wheels back in.
No, I have.
So I saw him doing
seen
this.
that, yeah.
And I walked up to some store employee, and I was like, because it pissed me off because I like to buy the M2 cars.
Yes.
I don't want somebody just stealing them. So I was like, hey, there's some dude over there who's opening packages and putting cheaper cars back in the packages. You should go check that out. So whatever came of it, I don't know. But I definitely was not going to let him get away with it. Like, it's such a petty thing to do, to take a $6 toy car
Yeah.
and then put a cheaper car. Like, it's just,
No, he had a lot
if you're
of
gonna
balls
steal
to
it,
do
if you're gonna
in the
steal it,
store.
if you're gonna steal it,
That's like
like this process takes so long to open the package, unscrew the thing from the base, screw it all back down again. Like, just steal the whole thing.
it's like
I mean, come on.
the K-Day when like people just have like 30 of the same thing.
Yeah, well, have you seen what the blue Datsun pickup goes for on eBay now? That's why they did it.
Yeah, and now that there's Kmart's
No
out of
Kmart's,
business, yeah.
yeah.
So who's sitting on a
Wait,
black?
the bright blue one?
Yeah,
Didn't you give me one?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Because I was that guy one day.
it goes on eBay.
Oh, they're like $30 a piece.
Yeah, the black 510 wagon too.
Is that worth money too?
I'd imagine.
Yeah, I went. That was the one time I went. The kid had like 20 of them stacked up. I was like, "You're buying all these?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right."
Can I buy
Thanks.
one?
Yeah, I just want one.
Yeah,
Did he give you one?
No,
Oh, dick.
he was
Yeah.
on the phone with his dad.
yeah. That's what it was.
He's like, don't use the credit card. I don't want mom to see him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another story. Oh, that's another story. Coming home once and having all of my receipts on the coffee table. And
Oops.
I'm like, we have to talk. What? I added up all these receipts. Ooh, that's not good. Why
Yeah.
did I keep the receipts?
Why'd you keep
I
the
don't know.
receipts for? I
Well,
need proof I bought these Hot Wheels cars.
I've got it. For what reason?
Unless you were getting the mail-in special for
No,
Walmart.
this was back in the day. But that brings up your story about a store. Brings up another story. 95 was crazy, where truck drivers would stop, open their truck, get the treasure hunts out of the because back then there
'Cause they
was,
knew, yeah.
right. I think it was 10,000 was 95,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, of each car. Up in Salem, New Hampshire, Toys R Us. You would go in, you would look. I heard stories of people going into back rooms and opening them Hot Wheel cases to get the treasure hunts out.
Mm-hmm. Still happens to this day.
It does. And then
$15.
The black one's 15.
Yeah.
The blue one's 40.
The blue pickup truck.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it for 40 yet. That's high.
wait, yeah, find me that one.
So it came right up on top.
That's one sale.
Really?
I thought they were around 20 to 25, but
I've got a couple of those.
I have like
you
5
got to
of
do
them.
completed auctions just to.
Oh, okay. Oh.
nonetheless,
Well,
if they're worth $40, I have 5 of them at home in the package. They're all going on eBay tonight. So
So I go up to Salem, New Hampshire, Toys R Us. I'm looking. Hey, do you have any cases in the back? Do you have any? Guys, like, you're looking for the treasure hunt? I'm like, yeah. It's like I get off at work at 10 o'clock. Meet me in the parking lot at 10:30.
So he already had them.
I stay up there in Salem, New Hampshire
Oh.
until he closes. I meet him. He pops his trunk, and I buy a treasure hunt off of him.
for a markup.
For a markup. It wasn't crazy. It might have been $10. It might have been $15 at the
Yeah.
time.
But
Which
he
again-
bought the car for $1, having knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So, I mean,
capitalism at its best.
there
there,
was
folks.
there was this fervor for treasure hunts back then as the year progressed, and it was crazy.
It's funny because they're not worth a ton now, the early treasure hunts.
95 still. I think I sold my whole set for maybe $700 of
Oh, okay.
12.
That's a good amount of money.
That was a few years ago. I still would like to get the Camaro back, because that was the hardest one to get, the white Camaro with the orange
White,
stripes.
red, orange. Okay.
Yeah. But now, I think they went through, I think, 96. They had some pretty decent cars. 97, they started to get crap cars, and they started
They did
to...
a lot of fantasy
cars.
licensed cars.
They started to...
Now, fantasy cars for our non-Hot Wheels collecting listeners are like the Shark car. I'm sure people
yeah,
remember.
so non-licensed cars.
The one we have on the table, the Carbonator.
Yeah, the bottle opener car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the was it the Torque? What was the name of it? The wrench car.
There's
There's
hundreds
one,
of...
I was thinking of a few of them. You're right, hundreds and hundreds of non-licensed Hot Wheels cars.
Right, so that Mattel, basically, it's their own
They're toy
designs.
cars. They're designed
right.
for children.
Right, but they don't-
ultimately, we're spending an hour talking about a toy for children,
Children?
adult children,
Adult children.
and children.
I mean, they made newer ones now that adults want.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely have they definitely cater to the adult collector market now, and they started that in '95
Right.
with that treasure hunt series. That wasn't for the kids; that was for the adults.
Correct. And that really injected so much into that because, again, that was roughly around the time that Johnny Lightning was reintroduced as well.
And I have that whole series from that year.
And then they did White Lightnings, which was their
Kind of their
equivalent.
version of a treasure
In fact,
hunt.
I don't know which came first. That could be something that you could look up right now, or some of our callers will probably. Oh, our boards are.
Are dark because we don't have callers. 2018, we didn't have a phone line, let alone callers.
And now, I don't know, for diecast, I can't find 1/18 scale anymore. I had a
Not in the store.
no. I had a
No,
total.
there's no store around that sells them.
I had a total of about 150 1/18 scale.
Yeah, I had a little less than that, but not many less than that.
Yeah.
The problem is they take up so much space.
They do, and they become a liability when you have to move and or store them.
Yep,
Now, even though
I agree.
each one was taken out and put into a $10 acrylic case and
Doesn't matter.
carefully wired in so that they didn't move, and
Yep, they still get damaged.
they do.
Yep.
And then when you're asked to get rid of what?
So, White Lightning variation is Johnny Lightning's chase car concept introduced to the diecast market, blah, 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 1994.
Okay, so 1 year prior.
they have a,
So they probably learned from that.
So they have a special trait that distinguishes from the regular
Yeah,
release.
they have white tires.
Yeah, so usually special traits are white, and usually the car will have a combination of two. So white body, pearl white, metallic gold, white
Yep.
chassis, white tires, white rims,
base. Yep.
gold rims, white interior, tinted glass, something
Yep.
like that.
I actually have zero. I've never found a white lightning car in the wild.
Really?
Nope, never.
They eventually came
Well,
out.
here you go. 2% of production run will be white Lightning cars.
Yeah, there aren't very many of them. They're
Right.
definitely hard to find.
They eventually went, which I actually liked. They, instead of where you would have white lettering on a tire being
Yeah.
Goodyear, it would say White Lightning. So it was subtle, but didn't take away. Like the new green light cars
Oh, they're dumb looking. They're awful.
with metallic
green-
green,
green
It's like,
tires.
I don't like
Yeah.
them just because I wouldn't want to look at them.
M2 does gold where instead of chrome
Yes.
on their gold chases, and a lot of them have red tires now. And it just looks dumb.
Yeah. See,
I have no interest in finding those.
I didn't mind
Auto World, who's another company that makes premium diecast now, does
red cars.
a red car, but the rest of the car still looks the same.
Unless you get the
Raw,
raw car,
unpainted
which
ones,
I've
yeah.
got one of.
Oh, those are worth a lot of money.
I know.
Yeah.
I found it in a Toys R Us, and I was like, something's different about this. And I brought it back, and I think they said there's like 10 or 15 of them out of all the run.
Yeah, 10 or 15, not percent. Like
10 or 15
legitimately
cars,
10 cars.
yes.
Huh.
They don't paint their raw finish.
I never find anything. Like,
Well,
hardly
well,
ever.
how often
You're
do you go
way
out?
less dedicated than we are.
I go whenever I'm in the area.
Yeah.
Oh, I need stuff at Target. I'll swing through the Hot Wheels aisle,
Now,
which our local Target has not had any stock for like a while.
that's because Brad goes there first.
No, it's not.
It's
They don't
been a
actually
couple
have any
months.
stock.
They haven't
Yeah.
had any stock. It's really weird.
And I'm
Jim
surprised.
goes there first.
I've talked to Brad, and we've both been fairly successful at Stop and Shop, which
Yeah.
is a grocery store.
Don't let everybody know that.
Sorry,
It's a local chain.
it's a
Yeah.
local chain. But yeah, no, I found 3 Super Treasure hunts
Yeah, I found stuff there too.
within the last.
I've heard Walgreens too.
Walgreens is
Check
going
out
to
Walgreens.
So here's what makes me more of a collector now, and why I find more than you do, Andrew, because that's my wintertime car hobby.
Okay.
Like all summer long we go to car shows and all these car events. During wintertime it's cold and gross, so I'll be driving home from work and I'll be like, you know what? I'll take the long way and I'll go to 114 and I'll be able to hit Target, Toys R Us, and Walmart all in one night. And if I do that one night a week, it's an hour out of my life, and I find tons of cool stuff. Mm-hmm. So
and
I always do feel awkward walking into Toys R Us, walking right to the car aisle, not finding anything, and walking out. And I feel I have a kind of a distinctive, like the people probably know that I'm the dude that walks in and walks to the car aisle and
I'm
walks right out
sure
again.
I haven't
Walmart,
been-
you're not even.
At Walmart, I'm not
raising
even a blip.
You're not
Yeah.
even raising an
But
eyebrow.
Toys R Us, I feel like they might
I
recognize
haven't
me
been to
by
that
now.
one in a while because I hadn't found anything in a long time.
I actually just picked up, now we're talking about the green,
Yes.
the Green Light is a brand, and they do the Green Machine is their treasure hunt. Actually, they just released their garages. I found a Green Machine garage there, so I do find them now and again. And I bought it simply to put it back on eBay and sell it because I think it's ugly. Because
All right.
it's a Gulf racing garage that's all blue and orange, and it has these metallic green doors. It just looks dumb.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
See, I would leave that, unfortunately, because it does have to be something that you have at least a little connection to, for me at least.
I do,
Unless it's
because it was the treasure hunt, though,
Right.
is why I bought it.
Yeah.
And I did buy a regular one of the garages for myself as well. But
money does talk.
yeah, that's beside the point.
Now, that being said, though, that was motivation back then. Nowadays, though, you've got some amazing cars. being
Non-treasure
done
hunt ones,
right?
yeah.
Which, again, it was the difference between the early days of Hot Wheels, where the designers did real cars for the most part, real American muscle cars, with the emphasis on American.
With a couple
Tho-
Beatles thrown in.
Those
Beatles
guys,
and buzzes.
yeah, those guys have worked. Like Larry Wood was one of the original designers that eventually, I think 2015 might have been 2016 might have been
He
his
passed
last
away.
year.
Or he's
No,
still
no,
alive.
didn't know. Did he die?
No, I don't know.
No,
Did he pass away?
that's
That's
horrible.
Did he? I don't know.
I
Positive vibes. That's right, too. Dude's live and kicking.
I don't know if he died, but
Actually,
the
one of the
new-
reality shows on television, they just made the tow truck, the 24 hours.
Larry's towing.
Larry's towing. They just made that truck in real life out of a 72 C10.
Nice. I believe they actually put his real phone number on the truck.
And the original release had an
Yes.
actual phone number
Yes,
on it. Yeah.
It did.
But the new designers are injecting new blood into the designs, and as you guys are all aware, because you're passionate of that, you're getting vintage Japanese cars.
A lot of foreign stuff is coming
Which
out now.
got me back into collecting them.
I've always collected them, like, casually.
Yeah.
But when, I think his name is Junamai,
Junamai.
he really started doing all the Japanese stuff and all the Datsuns.
Yep.
and his designs really got me really fired up about collecting again. And I've probably bought 400 or 500.
And then we
cars in
read
the past few years.
Japanese nostalgia car, and when they started putting the decals on there, that was really cool.
Tampos.
Yeah, the
Hot Wheels
All right,
stocks. They're not decals. They're tampos.
Tampos. Hello.
Yep. Yeah, we're friends with Ben from who runs Japanese nostalgia car, and it was super excited for him when they started putting his logo on things. That's like a childhood dream. I mean, imagine having your logo, the JNC Incan, they call it.
Yes.
Imagine having, growing up playing with Hot Wheels cars, and then as an adult, the logo for the company you started gets printed in the side of a Hot Wheels car. Mm-hmm. It's pretty friggin' epic.
Multiple times, yes.
Yeah. And now M2 cars as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, 100%.
Nice.
And then the thing I'm waiting for, I want the new Magnus, the 911.
Oh, yeah, the Magnus Walker stuff.
The 277 car, which is really cool. I'm gonna have a hard time finding that probably.
More than likely. But you'll find one eventually, or I'll find it eventually, or Jim will find one eventually.
Yeah.
Sell it to you at a reasonable price.
$2.
Oh, come on. Look for Fred. $1.49. Actually, it depends on where he buys it, because some stores sell Hot Wheels for $1.49 now, so that's not even a markup.
Yeah, so it was interesting, you're talking about June, is that he started, I want to say 2005-ish, if I'm not mistaken, and his first few years, he was actually doing American muscle cars.
Yeah, because that's what they wanted.
Right. So that was brilliant to kind of get in there.
He had to prove himself as a designer.
Right.
Yep.
And get accepted, get your feet wet. And then just recently, like you said...
well, I think it was 07 when the 510 came out, right? The first 510?
I'm not positive the year.
It was long, it was probably close to a decade ago.
You're talking about the coupe, yeah.
The coupe, yeah.
The coupe came out first.
Came out, not that version of it, but that casting, yeah.
Oh.
Came out in blue first.
Yep. With 86, what was the number on it?
I bet you it was 08. Just 10 years ago.
Yeah, could have been around then, but I don't remember the number on the side of the car.
Yeah, no, I did some notes on it. He did the 2009 was the Datsun Bluebird 510.
Oh, 09 was when it came out?
I think
okay.
so.
But that's when and nobody bought it.
Right, it sat. It was a peg burner,
peg warmer.
Peg warmer. Thank you.
And it's funny because I remember when it came out because I bought every one I found. So I was like, this is like a one-time thing. It's never going to happen again. I need to buy all of these. So I probably have like 30 of them between the blue and the
silver,
brown and the silver and the yellow and the red and all those the first few runs of them before any of the Japanese cars. Why did I buy them? Why did I need multiples of them? I don't know. But I was like, I just need all of these.
Yeah.
They're so cool.
And
like, it's amazing that Hot Wheels is doing a Japanese car, and I just was obsessed with it. Well, they did in 84. They did one. And 84 and 85. They did a Supra and a 300ZX.
Yeah, the old silver ZX. I was thinking if they did
it was a white 300ZX when it first came out. It was white with purple, yellow, and blue graphics. It said 300ZX, and it had a little lightning bolt kind of thing through the logo in the hood.
What kind of wheels did it have? The
there were
super
two
fast wheels?
kinds that came out.
There was the gold crappy wheels.
There was one that had the gold crappy wheels, and then there was one that had the 3-line. So those super fasts?
Yeah, super fast.
Okay, yeah, they had those too.
Oh, gross.
They're pretty terrible. And they had the Supra, which came out on black walls with gold centers and red and black.
I probably have that. I'd have to look.
I have a ton of those because I bought those as a ton as a kid.
Nice.
I think the one that really did it for me when those came back was the Hakasuka, with the green.
Which was that Genomai or was that Ryosada?
Ryosada. He did the
S2000. He did
82 Skyline.
That's the most recent one.
Yep.
Yeah.
The 90 NSX.
Which actually that 82 Skyline belongs to a friend of the podcast. The car they used to copy it, J. Co. out of Las Vegas.
Oh, nice.
The car is based on Jay's car. Yeah.
Right. In fact, who owns the Bluebird wagon in red? The original Treasure Hunt.
The original Treasure Hunt doesn't own it in red.
It's green. That's the Genomai.
The Genomai has a 510 wagon.
Yeah. He has
That's
the
why
Boulevard.
he did it.
The Boulevard.
Kind of the Boulevard. It's the Boulevard with the paint scheme from the red Treasure Hunt wagon. Somebody else made a copy of that afterwards.
All right, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
At one of the car shows a few years ago.
JCCS, I think it was. Yeah.
Did you go to that show?
I've been
that year?
One time. I went in 2012, so it was before that year. I did meet Junimai there though, because he was there in the Japanese nostalgia car booth.
Now, the black first-gen RX-7 with
That
gold,
was Jun
is that a
as well.
real car, or was that
That was a Hot Wheels car first,
then
and then
Japanese Classics? Is that the
JDM Legends.
JDM Legends?
Yep.
That's
Also,
close.
also a friend of the show.
So they made
Josh works there.
And they made the car.
They made a copy of that car
That's
in real
awesome.
life. You haven't seen that car?
1-to-1.
So that car debuted at the year I was out there at JCCS in 2012.
Yeah.
Get one signed?
So I brought them with me in the airplane in a box in my suitcase. They wouldn't get crushed. And the morning I left for the show, I left them at my hotel. So I did not get them signed. However, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely get them signed eventually.
Now, this is strange, and it may be for all car enthusiasts that they have a connection with Hot Wheels. But it seems like there are quite a few Miata owners that also happen to be into diecast. And
Which is funny because there's only one Hot Wheels Miata, and it's not very good.
there are two, because
Okay.
they did do the 2017.
Well, no, I mean of the early cars. I know there's a new version as
Oh, yeah.
well. Yeah, and it's not great. I always thought that it would be good for them to do a newer version of an NA Miata,
In fact, I pitched that on one of the
which is something else we could talk about real quick. How long has this episode gone, Andrew? Because we
8 hours. Are we on?
I don't know if we have any listeners left, unless they're real Hot Wheels fans. But
Whatever.
that's okay.
Not every episode is for everyone.
No, that's true, and I'm having a great time talking about Hot Wheels cars, so it doesn't matter. to
No,
me.
go for it.
We're going to be here till midnight talking about Hot Wheels cars. So, so what did you pitch to Hot Wheels?
I forget.
91 Miata.
Oh, actually, I did pitch some ideas wanting to be a designer and threw out a bunch of my own designs to Hot Wheels and got a nice conversation with a gentleman that said, this is such not the right time. We're just letting go 2,500 people from Mattel.
Yeah, not the time to get hired.
No. So that was
So that's the
unfortunate.
JDM Legends
Oh, nice.
version of the Hot Wheels car.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's actually, if you look at a lot of Hot Wheels Japanese cars since
Yeah.
that came out, they also, in addition to the JDM Legends, so the Japanese nostalgia car logo, they have a JDM Legends logo on them as well
Very cool.
because of their community
Connection. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I think is great. I mean, it would probably be amazing to be out in California and to that sort of scene, car show scene, where
Well, come on out with me one year. We'll hit up the whole car show scene.
that sounds great.
We just were out there for a show in December, and we had a lot of Hot Wheels discussion going on then.
Really. Now, June has been on. I'm a moderator on one of the Miata sites, which is MazdaRoadster.com. .net, sorry, and June is on there as well, and
He has a Miata, or had a Miata.
I'm not sure now,
No.
but I remember seeing he posted a bunch of pictures of his collection, which is absolutely amazing. Just the cases going downstairs, and then the.
Well, I would assume that if you work for Hot Wheels, you probably have
I
an
know
extra
Isn't-
advantage of collecting
isn't
Hot
that
Wheels.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So he had an absolutely gorgeous just collection, and envious of that, just to be able to have the space and not have somebody say, "Why are you doing this in this room?" Which, again,
It's all part of life.
it is part of life.
Yeah.
You need to have your sort of man cave.
We don't like that word here.
Man cave?
No, man cave. It's hobby room.
Hobby.
Man cave is just such a, I don't know, it just sounds so dirty and gross. I just don't like it.
This looks more like a rumpus room down
A
here.
rumpus room.
Well, your 70s
paneling.
wood paneling walls definitely give that vibe
Yes,
of
no.
It's got that 80s basement feel.
there should be a
It has that
pool table
80s
here.
basement smell.
Yes, it does.
If we could get that Aurora slot car track going.
So,
Those have a distinct smell, too. once
They
they're
do
running.
once they start going. And
Yeah. so the discussion has been had about that. You talk about every listener bringing Hot Wheels cars. We had a discussion a while back. I'm not sure if you heard it, and we're still going to make this happen, I think. Whereas we're going to set up kind of a Top Gear style best lap, but with a slot car track.
I like that.
And we're going to have a really lame slot car for all of the guests to do it. Like I think Aurora did not Aurora, but
AFX?
AFX did a PT Cruiser.
Oh, no.
So I'd like to get the PT Cruiser body and have everybody have to run a hot lap in the PT Cruiser, and we'll have a leaderboard of in-studio guests.
I like that.
So
Can we up that where you can possibly bring a car to run, and then you can get the highest
Oh, you definitely can.
lap time?
Oh, absolutely.
As well?
I wouldn't want to make that the only thing because not everybody has slot cars.
And then you can do sort of a pink slip thing where you bring your car.
Let's
you
not
race
get
it-
crazy.
All right, I'm just saying.
Have you seen
Andrew
have you
could
seen
get-
what these things cost now?
Yes, I do. Andrew could have quite a collection going here if we start to.
Well, I don't think we could really do that because we're home track advantage. It'll be kind of
He'd be down here practicing
It'd be
all
kind
the
of.
time.
I mean, we'd practicing. We'd be down here for hours racing each other.
Yes.
Actually, my father is setting up the Aurora track at his house as well, so we'll have a couple.
Now,
of
is he
tracks to
doing
run
it
on.
in the sort of, I'm going to just put it on the rug and have it?
No, it's a permanent setup.
Yeah.
Permanent setup.
Yeah.
So you get the board.
Permanent setup. It's on a huge
Put the fake,
the
put the
4x8
fake grass
plywood.
on there.
5x8 ping pong table.
Nice.
Last time we had it set up, we had it jog down a corner, and it went down another table down the side, and it was, I mean, a lap was like 30 seconds. It was a long lap in that thing. It was hundreds of feet long. Yeah,
Nice.
So we're going to do that again. Anyway.
How many cars do you have?
It was the
God.
Nürburgring of
The
slot
Nürburgring.
car tracks.
Yeah, it really was. How many cars do we have?
Yeah.
I don't know, 30 or 40.
Really?
But they date back to the late 60s.
Okay.
We have all originals up through the 90s.
Because I unfortunately sold my dad's 4 Hot Wheels. He had a model motoring,
Yep.
which was
Really
predated
early
that.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
Those are the ones the track didn't click together. It had little pins to hold them
Yes,
together.
and had little steering wheels
Yep.
to do the speed.
Yep.
And I'm sure they're worth lots of money.
You know, they have to be mint in the box to be worth a lot of money.
Okay.
Certain cars are worth a lot of money, but overall a set isn't worth a ton. You can buy a set,
Okay. Well, I sold them for Hot Wheels back in the day, so
which is fine.
yes.
You gotta-
Before opioids and stuff now.
Yeah. Which you're not selling Hot Wheels for.
No. There's no connection anymore.
Anyway, we could talk all night about Hot Wheels, but
Yes, sorry.
I kind of want to move on to some other diecast stuff. Do you collect any other brands at all, specifically, or you just collect things you like and Hot Wheels cars?
Things I like. I have that whole collection. So that was the thing. So Hot Wheels.
He's saying that whole collection while he's pointing on the table.
So,
we
well-
have the M2 Japanese cars.
The M2 Japanese cars.
Yep.
Again, I think my work with Miatas has given me a new appreciation of Japanese cars. And again, growing up through the 80s and the old Corollas and the old Supras and the old cars that, again, when I was younger, and I hope this isn't off topic, but the tie in there. I went to school in Southbridge, Mass. Mm-hmm. The inner city had a large.
Oh, there's no question. Back in the 80s and into the 90s, it was a very a Puerto Rican.
Okay, I didn't know if I could use that word.
That's not a slur. It's a culture.
Okay.
It was a very cultural thing that a lot of the Puerto Ricans had rotary cars and Corollas,
Yes.
and that was their thing. That was their.
It still
into.
is.
It still is a thing
It
today.
is,
That's
and
100%.
they did. They were the first ones to sort of lower them, and they were the first ones to kind
rotary
of
swaps and big cars.
Rotary swap,
and-
okay.
Yeah. Bridge
So-
porting.
Yeah.
that was also the time of breakdancing, which I got into because I was more. I didn't
Awesome.
drive back then.
I would like to see their video of a young Jim
They
Fagerquist
didn't have video
breakdancing.
cameras back then.
Sure, you did. They're just
They had
huge, and you put them on your
laser
shoulder.
discs. Yes.
Well, you'd like, if there is a Radwood East, you'd like that very much. Radwood
Yes.
Car Show, yeah.
Did you see the Radwood car show that we went to? Did you hear about that?
You didn't
Was-
go this year.
Oh, we did.
We
go.
did.
did.
We went
Yeah.
to
All
Los
December.
Angeles. Yeah, in
Oh,
December.
okay.
So it's a car show for cars from 1980 to 1999.
Oh,
And they had BMXing,
They
and
did
they had
BMX
all period
flat landing,
music,
yeah.
and
that-
everybody
Period dress.
everybody was dressed in period.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember. You did a
So-
show about that.
Oh yeah, we definitely did because we
Yeah.
had flew out to California,
Yeah.
It's a blast. So hopefully there's an East Coast one.
and we'd like to get some breakdancing involved next year. I think they're already talking
Yeah.
about. So
Just popping lock. Yeah.
I like to see you at your current age do some breakdancing
Yeah.
too. Get out there in that same
Literally,
outfit, your
yeah.
your button down plaid shirt with your beard and your
There would definitely be a lot of breaking going on, but
yeah. The dancing wouldn't be what was
yes,
breaking.
probably my ankles.
So, anyways, you do collect some other things.
I do. Well, not only cars. I did get into figures a little bit too back in the day, but I know that's not what we're talking about. But Spawn.
I
was a
literally
big-
know nothing about that
All
stuff.
right, good.
Yeah.
So we won't go there.
No, that's another podcast.
But it's basically now what I like, because my collection, like I still, if I'll find it, some nice, I like Mopar's muscle car.
Oh, I still have muscle car stuff too.
Yeah, so
Has to be the right one.
I'm sorry?
But has to be the right one.
Right.
But-
So I like some of the Johnny Lightnings. They just came back
With a vengeance.
with a vengeance, which
Yep.
is nice. And their quality is good.
It's gone way up. That's actually, I have a Johnny Lightning here. I'm going to pass over. It's the
AMX.
AMX and like Go Mango, I think they call the color. So that's one of the recent released Johnny Lightnings. I'll put pictures of all the cars we talk about on the
Why don't you
Instagram
set them up?
page.
That'll be our episode picture on the table.
Okay, we can do that.
Look at that. Gorgeous.
That's
Now,
neat.
I think that the Johnny Lightnings have stepped up their game because the M2s have gotten so nice.
Auto World as well.
That's what I mean. Auto World has gotten so nice. Auto World is the only brand that rivals close to the Tomica stuff, which is now, to go back, Tomica is a Japanese version of Hot Wheels,
Right.
but they have a limited vintage range, they call it, which is extra high detail. They're like $25
Yeah,
a piece.
which
They're a
is
little
very
expensive.
for
expensive.
64th scale.
For a Hot Wheels size car, yeah. They're a little expensive. I'll slowly go through my box over here. So, the Johnny Lightning cars are really nice now. They still have one problem. The tires are too big. On all of them.
Sure. But their detailing is great.
When you compare them to an Auto World car, which has proper size tires. I have one of each with me. I brought them just to, to go over. So that is...
You're giving these out to guests?
Nope.
Oh, damn. All right.
Yeah, you can check his pockets before you leave.
Yeah. So that is an
But I
auto...
gave you a car.
Yeah.
99 cents.
That is definitely... that is an Auto World Dodge Dart. 68 Dodge Dart. You can see how much narrower the tires are. They're way more in scale.
Right.
Which I think
Well,
is
the
Johnny
sidewall's
Lightning.
taller, too.
Yeah, which I think what Johnny Lightning has to do to step their game up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
But for $699, you can't beat that car.
right. For quality, for fit and finish. I mean, they just...
And I have a Tomica Limited
I mean,
Vintage here.
even the tampos around all
Yeah.
of the bright work there.
Yep.
These are definitely more scale than a Hot Wheels, because doesn't a Hot Wheels have to
Hot Wheels has to fit the
in a-
package.
in a-
Yeah.
to fit the package and in the track.
That's why they call the Hot...
Right.
Yeah, the
Not
Hot,
always in the track.
yeah,
No.
they call the Hot Wheels cars... they're not 1/64 scale.
They're Hot
they're,
Wheels scale?
They're 3-inch scale.
Okay.
They say they average out to about 3 inches a car. So if you do a model of a 59 Cadillac and a model of a S2000, they can't be the same scale because they both have to fit in a 3-inch
and that
package.
sucks because the Cadillac is so narrow
tiny.
because it has to
Yeah.
be right, and it's rotten.
So that's Atomica Limited Vintage, which are obviously very nice cars.
And how much is this one?
Those depends on the car. They're anywhere from $15 to $45. That one was probably about $16, I think.
The 64th scale is definitely rivaling 143rd.
They're coming up right
Which
now. If
143rd has been rivaling
118th
118th and 124th for a while.
Actually, 124 diecast has never really been as nice as the other scales. There's been like the Franklin Mints and
Mint
stuff.
stuff were really good.
But-
1320. I had actually a lot
They did.
of funny
So
cars.
they had a few. They had a few
that were
here
absolutely
and there.
gorgeous
But
in the-
overall, 124 scales are more of a toy scale than
Okay.
model car scale.
when your initials are on the back. I mean,
Are
that's
those your
almost
initials?
Like, yeah.
That's funny. It's a the one I handed him is an FJ45 or 50. It's the one they call the Pig Nose Land Cruiser.
Yep.
And it's done up in the Japanese Auto Federation livery, which is the Japanese version of AAA. So
Weird.
Those are really, really nice, though.
Those are really nice.
I think I've seen those in every Godzilla film.
Yes. So as a comparison,
This size.
Yes, exactly.
So as a comparison, this is an original Tomica
Now, see,
before
had I-
the Tomica Limited
Had I
Vintage.
known that, I would have brought my original. I have a lot of vintage original Tomicas.
Do you?
Yes.
So that one
As
is a
Brad's now.
Toyota Corona, which is a car that... The problem with Tomicas here is they never sold very well because they were all of Japanese domestic market cars that weren't sold here or weren't popular here. They did sell Coronas here, but they weren't popular. So people around here wouldn't buy that over a Hot Wheels car because they wanted a 68 Camaro. They didn't want a 72 Corona.
Absolutely.
So they're rare to find now, and when you find them now, they're fairly pricey for what they are. But they're more detailed than Hot Wheels cars, I think.
Absolutely. They just had better casting as well. Like Hot Wheels wouldn't have the door lines. They wouldn't
Yep.
have the body lines. They wouldn't have...
Now, there's some other weird brands here and there. This is a... I have to actually look. I don't remember the brand name. Oh, Kyosho, 1/64 scale, that's my Celica.
I have a few Kyoshos.
They didn't sell them as completed. They sold them as kits. That was a kit I had to put together. For licensing issues.
It's weird when you see that versus I can see the Hot Wheels one is sitting on the shelf. Like it's.
Oh, yeah, completely different to scale.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this
Well, that
is-
one's to scale, and the Hot Wheels one is to Hot Wheels scale.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why.
Maybe I'm thinking I have Atomica BRG Miata. I forget. It's got the box at home. I thought
I think it's a Kyosho.
it was a Kyosho. Kyosho, I have 1/18th scale.
Yep. They
Okay.
do really nice 1/18ths.
All right, so it was the 1/18th then.
Well, the Kyosho did, in the 1/64th, they call it the Dido series, DYDO, and they all came as kits to build up for some kind of weird licensing issue.
Yeah,
So that came in pieces knitted put together.
Very nice.
Those are very nice. And now, my new obsession, which I shouldn't have bought any of, but I bought a couple of.
Barbie?
No, these are called Tarmac Works. They're mostly modern cars.
Did you get that off Larmy?
They've advertised them.
Yeah,
there.
okay.
But
Oh, yeah, they did, and I
so I have here,
just looked through that. I've not
which
seen
is
one in
the
person.
Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution X and the Rally Art livery, which those are expensive.
Look at those wheels. That's
Yeah. So I'll put a picture of that up as well.
I mean, that looks as good as the Aoshima 124th kit.
Yeah.
That is sitting that I
100%.
put together.
The detail on that is ridiculous.
including the
Defroster lines, in the
defroster
window.
lines?
Yeah.
And the little roof
There's
spoiler.
mirror. If you look at the mirrors, there's actually
There are
reflective.
actually mirrors in there,
There's actually reflective mirror faces. Like it's
and the lights are multiple
all separate
piece,
pieces. Yeah. So they cost a lot more money.
How much, Brad?
Well, they retail about $17 or $18
That's insane.
for
I mean,
what you're getting. It's a lot of money for a
It
164
is.
scale car. But for what you're getting,
look at the interior. Does it has the belts and everything on the seats as well?
the
if I'm
race
not
cars
mistaken?
do.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that does. I didn't notice.
No, it's just it does have two different color seats. So
Yeah, the race cars have multi-piece. Like I haven't got received yet. I would have brought it. I bought a race car,
it does
Yeah.
have door cards,
and it has
So.
It actually has.
separate pieces for the seatbelts. Yeah, and a Hot Wheels size car. So they retail for about $17 a piece. The problem is, by the time you get one here in this country, you've paid $5 to $8 for shipping for it. So the only way to buy them is to buy them in bulk. So there is a U.S. seller who I actually will plug because he's a really nice guy. He goes on eBay with the name Surplus Goodies.
Yes.
He has a lot of different die-casts, but he's the exclusive Tarmac Works distributor in the United States. And his shipping is more reasonable because he'll ship, it's like $5 for the first one and then $1 for each additional car.
Have these hit eBay in a way that makes them a little bit more affordable, or they're still?
That's how you're going to get
Okay.
them. So he sells them for $20 a piece, but then, like I said, he's $5 shipping for the first car and then $1 for every car after that.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, by the time you bought 5 of them, he spent $100 in toy cars. So it gets it's a little excessive. I don't have a bunch of them because like I need tires for my truck and like
Right.
real life things. Yeah. So I have a few.
Food.
Yeah, but they're releasing 4 or 5 new ones every month, whether it be new liveries on them or new cars altogether. In fact, next month, this month it's February now, right? Mm-hmm. So next week the Evo 5 comes out in Tommy Mackinnon livery, which might be something you might want to pick up.
Yeah.
Andrew's eyebrows have just raised.
Yes, they did.
You know, I was just thinking, like, I was always into micro machines more than anything else for whatever reason.
No, I was never. I had them. but
I really liked them.
I didn't like them.
And I would always get them as gifts for, like, birthdays and Christmas and stuff, so. I
How
don't know,
many did you have? At
I
one
had a
time,
bunch. Probably, like, 50 to 100.
I will tell you that I've saved all of my childhood toys except for my micro machines I gave to my nephew.
I definitely have them. They might be down here. They might be in the secret thing that's sitting up there, the gasoline thing.
I like the gasoline thing, by the way.
Yeah.
I was looking at it at first, and then I was like, "Is that a car case?"
It is for micro machines.
Micro machine car case.
Yeah. And then I think I had more Matchbox than anything else, too. So,
Anyway, I think we probably bored the audience with diecast talk enough for the evening.
yeah, we can
All
wrap
right,
this
well.
up. We've got some T-shirts for sale in our Teespring store.
We do
T-shirts, sweatshirts, and mugs. So if you want to check those out, I think you just go to Teespring. You just search Auto Off Top. It'll come up.
Yep. Well, there's a link on our Facebook page.
Yes, it's posted. It's the top post on our Facebook page. What else? We've been getting messages for people to send them stickers. I've been sending out stickers here and there.
Going out. Yep.
We got some of the
Coloring contest
stuff
prizes
out.
have gone out. Yep. So
I'm going to send out the rest. Anyways, that's about it. You can follow the podcast at Auto Off Topic on Instagram, Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook. I am Race to Anger on Instagram. Jim, do you have anything you want to, any social media or anything you want to plug? Or
91 Roadster on Instagram, and
All right.
that's just some assorted pictures of the Jeep when
that's
it's
what you
running.
found.
And I haven't posted the picture of it overheating, but more just wintry.
we were thinking about sharing that as our episode picture, but prior to Diecast Car
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah, we could do either. And some older pictures of the my first British Racing Green Miata, which if anybody has any questions about that, I'd be more than happy to answer.
The man loves talking Miatas.
He does.
Shoot him a message.
Totally.
He loves hanging out with Miata people, not in a weird way.
No, thank you for that caveat. Yes, talking Miatas, talking cars, just in general, it's a lot of fun.
That's why we're all here.
and Brad, where can I find you?
TSISS350, which I'm thinking about changing.
What does that stand for, by the way?
Well, if you go back to the really early episodes, I do explain what it is. It was my internet screen name back in the day, and the two cars that I owned at the time were my Eagle Allen TSI and my Camaro SS350.
Gotcha, guys.
So it was just TSI SS350 because it wasn't a time when you thought you were going to be meeting all these people, and you had to like, oh, what's your name on such and such a forum? Oh, 91 Roadster. Like,
Right,
oh,
right.
TSI SS350. Like, that doesn't, you know.
Because every time I try to look up some of your stuff on the search thing, I'm like, what, it's TIS something?
TSI, so
Yeah.
SS350. So now you remember it
So
probably, though.
would you be like Brad Marrow or something?
I don't know what I'd be, but I did later on later forums that I joined. I usually just joined up with the username Brad D.
See, now that would be good.
It was simple.
And I'm sure that's available.
It's available on most of them, but the extra D,
I don't think that would be available on Instagram.
likely not.
No.
Yeah.
Do Brad D of Auto Off Topic or something, or I don't know.
Or Brad D, TSI SS350. Well, you should keep it in there because
Brad D _
Well, yeah. Well, hey, listen. Now that is my Instagram identity, and if I just change it wholesale to Brad D, you'd be like, "Who the hell's this Brad D?" Delete follow. So I don't know, whatever. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram by searching the hashtag Vintage Mitsubishi. There you go.
Yes, because you can follow hashtags now.
Yes.
Yes. And on MazdaRoadster.net, my car was called Wasabi. So
Because it was a green Miata.
Because it was a green Miata. And you can even search that. If you did Wasabi Miata in Google, you'll probably get
all stuff about you.
Lots
Yeah.
of pictures for the build and all that stuff as well. So feel free.
Cool.
Excellent. That
Well-
should be it for the evening. Thanks for joining us, Jim.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, had a lot of fun talking about
As always, keep cars analog.
And
Aim for the roses.
can't forget that. That's everybody's favorite now.